For 60 years, he never missed a morning making her coffee or a night tucking her in. But one afternoon, she looked up with empty eyes and quietly asked, "I'm sorry, what was your name again?" Walter and Eliza Bennett had been together for 60 years. Not just married, together. The kind of together that meant finishing each other's sentences, laughing at inside jokes from 1983, and arguing over how much salt belonged in soup like it was a national debate. Their home was small, full of quilts, black and white photos, and walls that echoed with decades of shared routines. Every morning, Walter would rise before Eliza, boil the water, toast the bread just the way she liked it, lightly golden with a dab of apricot jam. And when she came down the stairs in her favorite slippers, he'd greet her with a warm smile and say, "Good morning, sunshine. 60 years, and you still make this old heart race." Eliza would chuckle, kiss his cheek, and mumble something about his corny lines. But lately, the laughter came slower. She forgot things, where she left the keys, whether she'd already had lunch. Sometimes she called Walter by her father's name. He didn't make a fuss. He just reminded her, gently. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, as they sat on the porch watching clouds roll in, Eliza turned to him with a puzzled look. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "What was your name again?" The words hit like a brick. But Walter didn't flinch. He reached over, took her hand in his, and smiled. "I'm the lucky man who gets to love you. That's all you need to remember today." Eliza blinked slowly, then smiled back, like she understood the feeling, even if the name had floated away. What Walter didn't know was that this would be the beginning of a chapter where love meant remembering for two. And no matter how far Eliza drifted, he would stay anchored. Because 60 years wasn't the end of their story. It was the reason he refused to let go. The following weeks blurred into a quiet pattern. Some mornings, Eliza woke up and remembered their dog's name from 1975, but not the man holding her hand. Other days, she'd hum their wedding song without knowing what it was called, or that it had played as she walked down the aisle. Walter began labeling drawers. He taped little notes beside framed photos. Under a picture of their first house, he wrote, "Our first garden. You planted sunflowers. I fell in love all over again." She would read the notes aloud. Sometimes they made her smile. Sometimes she'd cry without knowing why. One afternoon, their granddaughter Emma came to visit and found Walter in the kitchen preparing lunch. "You okay, Grandpa?" Walter smiled, tired but gentle. "She forgets me more often now, but that's all right." "All right?" Emma asked, her voice cracking. Walter stirred the soup slowly. "She may not remember my name, but when I hold her hand, she still squeezes back. That's memory, too, just not the kind you write down." That evening, Eliza sat near the fireplace, staring at an old photo album in her lap. Walter sat beside her, quietly reading. Suddenly, she looked up. "You have kind eyes," she said softly. "Were you the man I married?" He blinked, then smiled. "I was. And I still am." She reached for his hand. "You must have been very patient with me." He swallowed the lump in his throat. "It's easy to be patient when someone once remembered everything about you." Every night, before bed, he tucked her in, brushed her hair back, kissed her forehead. And every night she'd ask, "Will you be here in the morning?" And every night he'd say the same thing. "I always have been." Even if she forgot it by sunrise. Because Walter wasn't just holding on to her memory, he was holding on to their promise. And in that promise he found strength. As Eliza's memory faded further, the days grew quieter. She no longer remembered birthdays, not hers, not his. She sometimes stared at the wedding band on her finger like it was a stranger's ring. Photos became puzzles. familiar rooms, unfamiliar halls. But Walter never corrected her sharply, never raised his voice. He learned to meet her where she was, not where she had been. When she confused him for her father, he listened like a friend. When she called him, "that nice man who brings me tea," he still smiled and brought the tea anyway. One stormy afternoon, Eliza wandered out into the rain. Walter found her barefoot in the yard, soaked, trembling. "I was looking for someone," she said, "but I don't know who." Walter took off his coat, wrapped it around her shoulders and held her close. "It's all right," he whispered. "You found me. That's all that matters." She wept into his chest, confused and frightened. He wept quietly above her head, but only once she couldn't see. Later that night, Walter sat beside her as she slept. He pulled out a worn notebook, a private journal he started months ago. Inside were pages filled with memories she had forgotten. But he had written down their first dance, her laugh when their son took his first steps, the way she snorted when she cried, laughing, how she once sewed a patch into his old flannel and claimed it gave him superpowers. He wrote it all down so she'd never be lost in silence. Then came a rare, fragile moment. One evening she woke suddenly, looked at him for a long while, and softly said, "Walter?" He froze. "Yes, love?" "You stayed?" His eyes filled. "Always." She smiled, sleepy and soft. "I don't remember everything, but I remember I loved you. Does that still count?" He took her hand, pressed it to his heart. "It counts more than anything." And in that moment, memory didn't matter. Because love had done what memory couldn't. It stayed. The months passed, like pages turning in a slow, quiet novel. Eliza began speaking less. Her world grew dimmer, softer, like a painting fading in the sun. Some days she didn't open her eyes. Other days she hummed lullabies she used to sing to their children, though she didn't remember who the children were. But Walter was there, still rising early to make her tea, still telling her stories, even if she didn't respond, still holding her hand as the sun went down, whispering memories she no longer held. "You once said I had a crooked smile," he whispered one night. "I still do. You just don't tease me for it anymore." One quiet morning, Eliza didn't wake. She lay peacefully, hands folded, expression calm. The nurse who came in to check her found Walter beside her, holding her hand. His eyes weren't wet, not yet. He just sat still, heart breaking slowly, gently, like the cracking of old wood in winter. "She forgot almost everything," he said softly. "But she remembered how to smile when I entered the room. That was enough." At the funeral, Walter spoke briefly. He didn't read a eulogy. He read from the journal he'd kept, his book of both of them. "She forgot my name. She forgot our wedding song. She forgot her favorite books, her favorite places, even the smell of the rain. But she never forgot how to reach for my hand. And I never stopped reaching back." After everyone left, Walter stayed a while longer at her resting place. He placed a small paper in the flowers. A note. Just 7 words. "Even when you forgot, I remembered enough." Back at home, the tea kettle still whistled at 7 a.m. And every now and then, Walter would sit at the window, journal in hand, and say aloud, "You may be gone, Eliza, but every time I loved you, I memorized it." For both of us. On his nightstand sits a photo of the two of them at age 30, laughing, cheek to cheek. Next to it, one final note in Eliza's handwriting, years old and nearly faded. "To my Walter, even when I forget, never think I've stopped loving you, because love is deeper than memory, it's soul." And he believes it every single day.